Tottenham versus Chelsea. Let's go. Welcome back to another match preview. This is Tottenham versus Chelsea. I usually don't record in a Chelsea shirt, so maybe it'll bring us a bit of good luck. I don't know. What a massive game, a London derby. Absolutely insane, a massive chance for Chelsea to capitalize as well, because these are the types of games that Chelsea really should be winning in order to try to get that top position to fight for the Premier League title this season. So I really hope that Chelsea get a win in this game. I think that we can get a win in this game, but we'll get into everything now. First off, Spurs have had a pretty decent start to the season, all things considering, especially with the Harry Kane transfer saga. They have 3 wins and 1 loss, whereas Chelsea have 3 wins and 1 draw. But the big thing to note is that Chelsea have scored 3 times the amount of goals that Spurs have scored, with Chelsea having scored 9 and Spurs having scored just 3. Spurs are in a bit of an injury crisis right now. It's unclear as of the time that I'm recording this video, perhaps it could change, who exactly is going to be available to face Chelsea. It looked like Eric Dyer and Heung-min Son were hopeful of being available, but I haven't seen anything that confirms whether or not they're definitely going to be out or are available for selection. Either way, maybe they don't necessarily start, so that's up in the air. And then Lucas Moura and Bergwijn are also on the injured list after their Europa League game on Thursday, so they do have quite a bit of injuries, which could work in Chelsea's favor. Looking at Chelsea's injury list, N'golo Kante is fit and ready for selection, and Christian Pulisic is in individual training. He's not in team training, so he's not going to be available for this match. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, those are the only 2 injury concerns that Chelsea had on their radar. I think this will be a pretty difficult game for Chelsea, as it always is. Spurs away, that's just so high intensity. There's a lot of rivalry there. Both teams want to win desperately, but I do think that this is a game that Chelsea can win. It's not going to be easy. I think that Spurs are going to play a low block and then try to catch us on the counter, so that's something that we're going to need to be wary about. And Chelsea historically have struggled playing against a low block side, so that's something else that I'm a little bit worried about, but I do think that we can break down the Spurs side, and all it takes, I think, is 1 goal, and then I think the game will open up quite a bit, and hopefully Chelsea can get a second, maybe even a third, who knows, and put the nail in the coffin on this game. Looking at my starting 11, of course, Edouard Mendy, starting goalkeeper. Chelsea have actually been ceding quite a few shots this season compared to last season under Thomas Tuchel, so Mendy's had to make more saves, and somehow miraculously he's kept clean sheets in all but 1 game in which we conceded a penalty to Liverpool. So I feel very confident with him in goal, but it is a little bit worrying how many shots Chelsea have been conceding. I think that we really need to get that in order, but I also think we've been changing the back line quite a bit, and it's looked pretty strong, but I definitely want to decrease the amount of shots that we've been conceding. Looking at the defense, Reece James is available back for selection after his red card, so I think you need to start him for his defensive prowess. We know that he can get back, he's very pacey, so he can deal with the Spurs players, and also for his attacking threat as well. I think you have to play Azpilicueta. He already has 2 assists this season, which is absolutely insane. Like, he just goes so under the radar, but he really is so talented. He does so many things well, and yeah, I think you have to play Azpilicueta. And then looking at the rest of the defenders, I mean, it's just like so many good players to choose from. It's really hard to pick, but I think you play Thiago Silva for his experience, and when he played, I felt that he didn't look rusty at all. I was kind of expecting him to look a little bit rusty, but no, he looked absolutely immaculate. So I think that he plays for Spurs, and then Antonio Rudiger next to him, who has also been great. I really need to see Rudiger score one of his crazy goals that he'll just run up the entire length of the pitch or just hit it from like 40 yards out. Like, one of these days that goal is going in. And then at left wing back, it's kind of tricky because Alonso has been starting. We saw Ben Chilwell just get his first minutes, just 8 minutes since the Champions League final. I really felt that Ben Chilwell was going to start for Zenit, and then he didn't, so I was a little bit confused by that because I thought that he would get those minutes, but I think it's more of a place of mentally he wasn't ready than physically, but I don't think that you can just throw him into that Spurs game. So I do think that Marcos Alonso is going to keep his starting spot. I'm a little bit worried about the pace of Spurs going up against Alonso. That could be a potential weakness, but we also know that Marcos Alonso loves scoring a goal against Spurs. It feels like every time we play Spurs, he gets this like golazo. So, you know, maybe that's another reason to play him, I don't know. Looking at the midfield pivot, I personally think I would start Kante if Kante is 100% fit and ready to go, because I just feel like he's one of the best players in the world, and if he's fit, you play him, especially against Spurs, where you're gonna want him to sniff out the danger and to help read the game and just get back possession and just do his N'golo Kante things. And next to him, I would put Jorginho, but Kovacic has been so good, probably one of the best players this season so far, just behind Romelu Lukaku. He already has 2 assists and a goal to his name. Like, that number 8 jersey is really like, it's really ignited something in him, but I think maybe you give him a rest and you play N'Golo Kante in this game, because Kante is just so good and Kova can always come on for Jorginho or Kante and do a job. But I could totally also understand if he starts this game. So it's just like Chelsea have so much squad depth and so much to choose from. I would completely trust any decision that Thomas Tuchel makes. And then looking at the attack, I think Mason Mount must start and Romelu Lukaku also must start, and then that leaves one position available. I do think Kai Havertz is going to start. He was largely rested against Zenit, and I just feel like he's looked, well, I feel like he's kind of had like a mixed bag of performances this season, but if there's anybody to kind of get into space, to try to be creative, break down that low block, I think that Kai is a really good person for that. I think that Timo would do better if we had more of an open game, and maybe it will be more open in the second half as both teams are trying to go for the win. But who knows, maybe Spurs just absolutely go for it and they don't end up playing the low block, and then Timo could start and take advantage with his pace. I feel like the runs that he makes are so important to try to drag defenders out of position in order to create space for other players elsewhere on the pitch, and we've kind of been missing that since he hasn't been playing that much. So again, I could see it going either way. I think we'll probably see Havertz, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Timo Werner either. I mean, it's so hard to predict. As for a score prediction, I really feel that we can win this game. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I think we can keep a clean sheet against Spurs. They lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace last week, given they did have a red card. But I really do feel that we can get the job done. We should be getting a job done, like I said earlier in this video, in order to compete for the Premier League title. That should be our aim, and these are the types of games that we must win. And I feel like I always predict like Lukaku, Havertz. I'm gonna go Lukaku and Alonso. Like, Alonso gets his annual goal against Spurs in this game. So let's see, let me know what your score predictions are, who's in your starting 11, and how you're feeling about the game. Are you nervous at all? Do you think that Chelsea are going to win? You guys know I'm always super nervous about any Chelsea game. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, just drop it a like. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I have things like schedules almost every day at this point now for the rest of the month. And yeah, until next time, I'm out.